Dear precious friends, Jai Shri Radhe Krishna. Today we bring you a captivating story, listening to which will bring joy, prosperity, and wealth into your life. So let's begin. In a dense forest, a parrot and a myna lived together in harmony, deeply affectionate towards each other. However, one day, a dispute arose between them. The parrot declared, "The greatest sinner and most deceitful being in this world is a woman." In response, the myna argued, "No, it is a man who is the greatest sinner and most deceitful." Their disagreement escalated, and unable to resolve it themselves, they decided to seek the wisdom of Lord Shri Krishna. Upon hearing their arguments, Shri Krishna asked the parrot, "How can you claim that women are more sinful and treacherous than men?" Dear listeners, pay close attention to this sacred story. Do not make the mistake of leaving it incomplete, for by listening to it in its entirety, you shall attain great benefits. If you are a devotee of Lord Krishna, honor his words and listen with reverence. The parrot then said, "Lord, I wish to share a story that will prove my point." Just as the parrot was about to begin, Goddess Rukmini arrived and expressed her desire to hear the story as well. Lord Krishna welcomed her and asked her to be seated. The parrot began. In a grand kingdom, there once ruled a noble king named Agrasen. He had 4 valiant and majestic sons. His eldest, Prince Chandrasen, was not only brave but also exceptionally handsome. His wife, Princess Chandraprabha, was known for her unparalleled beauty and grace, believing no woman to be more beautiful than herself. One day, due to an unfortunate turn of events, King Agrasen grew displeased with Chandrasen and ordered his exile from the kingdom. This decision left everyone in great distress. Saddened by his father's decree, Prince Chandrasen returned to his palace, deep in sorrow. Seeing him troubled, his wife asked, "My lord, why do you look so dejected? You are a prince, yet you appear so distressed. What has happened?" After much contemplation, Chandrasen confided in her about the king's command. Overcome with grief, Chandraprabha fainted. The maidservants quickly revived her by sprinkling rose water on her. As she regained consciousness, she turned to her husband and said, "Prince Chandrasen, if you leave me and our attendants behind and go to another kingdom, how will I survive without you? I will accompany you, no matter where you go." Chandrasen hesitated and replied, "How can you endure the hardships of exile? You have always lived in luxury, surrounded by comfort. The trials of the outside world are far too harsh." With unwavering determination, Chandraprabha responded, "My beloved, any difficulty faced alongside you will feel like a blessing. But living in the palace without you will be far more unbearable than any hardship of the wilderness. I will not leave your side." Seeing the tears in her eyes, Chandrasen realized her deep love and devotion. He thought to himself, "She truly cannot live without me. Leaving her behind in pain would be unjust." And thus, he reassured his wife, saying, "Do not be disheartened, Chandraprabha." Princess Chandraprabha was overjoyed and said, "How could I possibly live without you? I will accompany you wherever you go." However, Prince Chandrasen hesitated. "How can you come with me?" he asked. "Life outside the palace is full of hardships. You have always lived in luxury and comfort. How will you endure the difficulties of an unknown land?" Listening to her husband, Princess Chandraprabha replied with unwavering determination, "My beloved, any suffering we face together will feel like joy. But if I remain here without you, even the comforts of the palace will seem more unbearable than the hardships of the wilderness. I will go with you." The parrot continued, "O Lord," seeing the tears in Princess Chandraprabha's eyes, Prince Chandrasen realized her deep love and devotion. He thought to himself, "She truly cannot live without me. It would not be right to leave her in pain." After much thought, Chandrasen reassured his wife, saying, "Do not be disheartened." With great resolve, Chandraprabha prepared to leave with her husband. The next morning, they departed from the kingdom and journeyed into the forest. After walking for a long time, they grew exhausted and decided to rest under a large banyan tree. The cool breeze lulled them into sleep. However, as they slept, a venomous snake bit Princess Chandraprabha. The parrot continued, "O Lord, listen further." As soon as the snake bit the princess, she began writhing in pain. Chandrasen awoke to find her suffering and saw the snake slithering away. He became restless, but within moments, the princess succumbed to the venom and passed away. Seeing his beloved lifeless, Chandrasen broke into loud cries of grief. Overwhelmed with sorrow, he thought to himself, "Now that my life companion is gone, what purpose does my life hold? I will end my life here in this very forest." Determined, he stood up from beside Chandraprabha's body and began gathering wood from the jungle, crying as he declared, "I will perish in the funeral pyre alongside my beloved wife." At that moment, a celestial being descended from the heavens. The parrot continued, "As Chandrasen sobbed in despair, the divine being was moved with pity. Approaching him, the celestial asked, "Prince, why are you crying? What sorrow burdens your heart?" Chandrasen, overwhelmed with grief, replied, "I do not even have the strength to express my sorrow. I wish for the earth to swallow me whole and erase my existence." The celestial being gently said, "Tell me your plight. Perhaps I can help you." Chandrasen then narrated his tragic tale. "My name is Chandrasen, son of King Agrasen. My father banished me from the kingdom, so my wife and I set out on foot, eventually arriving in this forest. But here, my wife was bitten by a snake and has now passed away. I am collecting wood so that I may set myself ablaze alongside her and follow her in death." The parrot continued, "O Lord, listen further." Upon hearing Chandrasen's words, the celestial being sighed and said, "Prince, you are a fool. This world is transient. People come and go. Every being must eventually leave its physical form. You too know this truth, yet you grieve like an ignorant man. In this world, no one comes with another, nor does anyone leave together. Yet, you behave as if your life is meaningless without her." The celestial being continued, "You are a prince. If you remain alive, you will have countless opportunities ahead. Even the gods long for a human body. Why then do you wish to destroy yours so recklessly?" Chandrasen listened but remained firm. "My lord, everything you say is true. However, I will never find such a devoted wife in any lifetime. I cannot live without her, so I will die with her." Seeing Chandrasen's unwavering love, the celestial realized he could not be dissuaded. He then said, "Prince, there is only one way to bring your wife back to life. Listen to me carefully. If you are willing to do this, she can be revived." With hope igniting in his heart, Chandrasen eagerly said, "Maharaj, I am ready to do whatever it takes. Just bring my wife back to life." The celestial being explained, "Your wife's lifespan was only 20 years, which she has now completed. In contrast, your lifespan is 70 years, of which 30 years have already passed. You still have 40 years remaining. If you are willing to share half of your remaining life with your wife, both of you will have an equal lifespan, and she will be restored to life." The celestial being said, "If you accept this condition, the princess will be revived immediately." Hearing these words, Prince Chandrasen firmly replied, "I accept." The celestial then handed Chandrasen a vessel of water and instructed, "You must take a vow to pour water on the princess's feet for the next 20 years." As soon as Chandrasen made this sacred promise, the celestial stopped him and said, "Before you proceed, listen carefully. There is a hidden secret within this vow. Right now, you need the princess, and by fulfilling this ritual, you can save her. However, if in the future you no longer wish to be bound by this promise, you may revoke your vow. But the moment you do, she will perish instantly. But remember one crucial thing. Never reveal to the princess that you hold the power to revoke this vow. If she learns of it, you will lose the ability to undo your promise. Some truths in life must remain hidden because they may prove useful when the time comes." With these words, the celestial vanished without revealing himself to the queen. As soon as Chandrasen completed the ritual, Princess Chandraprabha, who had been in a deep unconscious state, suddenly regained consciousness. Unaware of what had transpired, she looked around, confused. Chandrasen gently told her, "You were in deep sleep and exhausted, so I let you rest." Thus he concealed the truth from her, how she had been bitten by a snake, how she had died, and how he had sacrificed part of his own lifespan to bring her back. The parrot continued, "O Lord, listen further." The couple resumed their journey. After several days of travel, they arrived at a beautiful place where a hermit's hut stood. Inside, a young and handsome monk sat in deep meditation. Tired from their journey, Chandrasen and Chandraprabha decided to rest near the hermit's dwelling. After a while, the prince turned to his wife and said, "Princess, we are thirsty. Let us go to the well and fetch some water. If you are also thirsty, I will bring water for you as well." Chandraprabha replied, "I am not thirsty. You go ahead and drink." Accepting her response, Prince Chandrasen took a long rope and descended into the well to fetch water. As soon as Chandrasen left, Chandraprabha's gaze fell upon the monk. Captivated by his divine beauty, she became enamored with him. She turned to him and said, "Master, you seem to live a peaceful and content life here." The monk responded, "You too may stay here if you wish. However, your husband is still present. How do you propose we resolve this?" Overcome by her infatuation, Chandraprabha confessed her feelings to the monk. The monk, sensing an opportunity, whispered, "There is only one way. Push your husband into the well while he is fetching water. Once he is gone, we shall see what happens next." Blinded by desire, Chandraprabha agreed without hesitation. Moments later, Prince Chandrasen returned with water and handed it to his wife. She suddenly said, "I feel thirsty now. Please return to the well and fetch me some water too." Chandrasen, puzzled, replied, "I asked you earlier, and you declined. But if you are thirsty now, I will bring water for you at once." As he made his way toward the well, Chandraprabha followed closely behind. Poor Chandrasen, deeply in love, was completely unaware of the betrayal looming over him. Friends, it is often said that even the gods respect the virtues of a woman, but when blinded by desire, even the noblest hearts can falter. As Chandraprabha walked with her husband, she carried in her heart the treacherous intent of taking his life. After listening to the monk, Chandraprabha agreed and said, "I will do as you say." Meanwhile, Prince Chandrasen returned after quenching his thirst. As soon as he approached the princess, she suddenly said, "I am feeling thirsty now. Go back to the well and fetch some water for me too." Chandrasen, slightly puzzled, replied, "I had asked you earlier, but you refused. Nevertheless, if you are thirsty now, I will bring water for you right away." With that, Chandrasen headed back to the well. Chandraprabha, feigning innocence, said, "I will accompany you." Poor Chandrasen, deeply in love with her, was oblivious to her treacherous intentions. Little did he know that the woman he adored was plotting his demise. As the scholars say, even the gods respect the virtue of women, but when blinded by desire, even the wisest individuals can be ensnared in deception. As Chandrasen leaned over the well to fetch water, Chandraprabha, driven by betrayal, suddenly pushed him in. Helpless, Chandrasen plummeted into the well while Chandraprabha turned away and surrendered herself to the monk. The monk took the princess with him to another kingdom where they started living together. Under the monk's guidance, Chandraprabha mastered the art of singing and dancing, gaining fame as a talented performer. Soon her beauty and skills spread across the city, and due to her performances, the monk amassed great wealth. Chandraprabha indulged in a luxurious life, enjoying her newfound status alongside the monk. Meanwhile, fate had something else in store for Chandrasen. By sheer coincidence, as he fell into the well, his hand caught hold of an iron chain hanging inside. Clinging onto it for dear life, he found himself suspended in the darkness of the well. Tears welled in his eyes as he murmured, "Is this the price of my love? Is this the fate destined for me?" Time passed, and a caravan of gypsies arrived at the well. One of them lowered a bucket into the well to draw water. As the bucket descended, Chandrasen, desperate to escape, grabbed onto it. The gypsy was startled to feel the weight and, looking into the well, was shocked to see a man clinging to the bucket. "Who are you?" the gypsy asked in astonishment. With a heavy heart, Chandrasen replied, "Brother, I am in great distress. Please pull me out and save my life. I will forever be indebted to you." Moved by Chandrasen's plea, the gypsy helped him climb out of the well. Once safe, the gypsy inquired, "Tell me, brother, who are you? How did you end up in the well?" Chandrasen sighed deeply and said, "How can I even begin to explain my sorrows? I can only pray that no one in the world ever experiences such pain. But if you truly wish to know, I will tell you my story." He continued, "I am a prince. My father exiled me from the kingdom, forcing me to leave my beloved behind. With my wife, I wandered into a dense forest where we lived for some time. We loved each other dearly. One unfortunate day, a snake bit my wife, and she died before my eyes. Overcome with grief, I was ready to end my own life beside her when a celestial being appeared before me. He took pity on my sorrow and in an act of mercy granted 20 years of my own life to my wife, bringing her back from the dead. We continued our journey and eventually arrived at a hermit's camp. One day, feeling thirsty, I went to fetch water from a well. When I returned, my wife claimed she was thirsty too and asked me to fetch water for her. As I was drawing water, she pushed me from behind, intending to end my life. By sheer luck, I grabbed onto a hanging chain and clung on for survival. Then, when you arrived with your caravan, I seized the opportunity to call for help, and you rescued me. Now, I stand before you, a man betrayed and abandoned." The parrot, who had been listening, interrupted, "Lord," and that is how Prince Chandrasen, with a sorrowful heart, narrated his ordeal to the gypsy. The gypsy, moved by his words, listened intently before asking, "What was the name of the princess?" Upon hearing this, the gypsy chief sighed and said, "Even the gods find it difficult to understand the nature of women. How then can mere mortals comprehend it?" He gently patted Chandrasen's head and consoled him, "Do not worry. God is merciful. He will guide you." He continued, "If you wish, you may stay with us for a few days." Grateful for the kindness, Prince Chandrasen agreed to stay with the nomads and help them with their daily tasks. After some time, he arrived in the very kingdom where his wife, Chandraprabha, now lived. Seeing the grandeur of the city, he turned to the gypsy leader and said, "Brother, I wish you would stay in this kingdom for a few days." The gypsy leader nodded. "I have no objection. You may do as you please." Prince Chandrasen then parted ways with the nomads and wandered the city in search of work. Eventually, a wealthy merchant, impressed by his dedication and hard work, employed him. Over time, Chandrasen proved himself to be diligent and trustworthy, earning the merchant's respect. Recognizing his skills, the merchant appointed him as his chief accountant. With his new role, Prince Chandrasen's life gradually became stable and peaceful. One day, the king of the city organized a grand event featuring a performance by the renowned dancer Chandraprabha. He invited the city's wealthiest merchants and nobles to witness her mesmerizing dance. As the event approached, excitement spread throughout the city. Chandrasen, having heard countless praises about the princess's beauty and artistry, grew curious. Accompanying his employer, he attended the royal gathering. When Chandraprabha stepped onto the stage, she danced with divine grace, her voice weaving melodious ragas that captivated the audience. The entire assembly marveled at her performance, showering her with gifts and praise. Even the king himself was enchanted and rewarded her generously. Deeply moved, Prince Chandrasen removed a diamond-studded ring from his finger and presented it to Chandraprabha. As soon as she saw it, she recognized the ring and froze. A chill ran down her spine. Could it be? She thought. She was stunned. Her husband was alive and standing before her. Fear crept into her heart. She knew that if Chandrasen remained alive, he would never let her be. Determined to rid herself of him once and for all, she devised a cruel plan. She decided to impress the king further with an even more enchanting performance, knowing he would offer her anything she desired. At that moment, she would demand Chandrasen's execution. With this sinister plot in mind, Chandraprabha performed another mesmerizing dance and sang a song so enchanting that the king was overcome with joy. Delighted, the king declared, "Chandraprabha, I am immensely pleased with you. Ask for anything, and I shall grant it." The princess smiled sweetly and said, "If you truly wish to reward me, grant me a promise before I make my request." The king, still captivated by her performance, nodded. "I give you my word. Ask for whatever you desire." Chandraprabha's eyes gleamed with malice. "There is a thief in this court," she proclaimed. "I ask for his execution." The king's expression darkened. "Who is this thief?" he demanded. Chandraprabha stepped forward and grasped Chandrasen's hand. Dragging him before the king, she declared, "This man is the thief." Without hesitation, the king ordered his soldiers, "Take this thief to the executioners and have him hanged at once." At that moment, Chandrasen's employer, the merchant, arrived at the court. Shocked by the accusation, he rushed to his employee's side and asked, "What have you stolen from this dancer that she seeks your death?" Chandrasen, maintaining his composure, replied, "Master, I have stolen nothing. All I ask is that the king grant me a chance to speak just a few words before passing judgment. It may save my life." Realizing the gravity of the situation, the merchant turned to his fellow traders and wealthy moneylenders. They quickly conferred among themselves and decided to take a stand. Addressing the court, they declared, "Your Majesty, either grant this man a fair trial, or we shall all leave this city and take our business elsewhere." All the traders gathered before the king and pleaded, "Your Majesty, our accountant is innocent. You have ordered his execution, but he requests an opportunity to speak a few words. If, after hearing him, you still believe he is guilty, then let justice take its course." The king, after listening to the traders, said, "Very well. Bring the accountant before me." Chandrasen was brought to the royal court, where the king addressed him sternly, "If you have anything to say in your defense, speak now." Prince Chandrasen stepped forward and asked, "Your Majesty, what crime have I committed that warrants my execution?" The king frowned. "Are you not the thief accused by the dancer?" Chandrasen replied, "No, Your Majesty. I am not the thief of this dance. I am the thief of this prostitute. I am the husband of the woman who betrayed me, pushed me into a well, and fled with a monk." Princess Chandraprabha, sensing the situation slipping from her control, quickly interjected, "Your Majesty, he is lying. I do not know this man. He is nothing but a thief to me." Chandrasen remained composed. "Very well, Your Majesty," he said. "If she claims not to know me, then let her return to me all that I had once entrusted to her on our journey together." The king, intrigued by this request, agreed. When Chandraprabha hesitated but eventually complied, Chandrasen turned to her and said, "Now, take water in your hands and swear before this assembly that you have spoken the truth." As soon as Chandraprabha lifted the water and let it fall to the ground, she collapsed and died on the spot. The entire court was left in shock. The king, deeply unsettled, turned to Chandrasen and demanded, "Tell me everything. What is the truth behind this matter?" Prince Chandrasen recounted his life story in detail, narrating every event from his banishment to the present moment. Moved by his tale, the king embraced him and, as a gesture of honor, gave him his own daughter in marriage. At this point, the parrot, who had been narrating the story, declared, "Lord, I have recounted this tale, and it only strengthens my belief that women are more sinful and treacherous than men." His words left everyone astonished. However, Mother Rukmini, who had been listening intently, responded, "Lord, the parrot may speak as he pleases, but I do not believe all women are deceitful. Perhaps one or two may lack morals, but the same can be said for some men. Sin and treachery are not exclusive to any one gender." Krishna, smiling, turned to Maina and asked, "Then tell me, Maina, how will you prove this?" Maina replied, "I shall tell you a story that will demonstrate that men too can be sinful and treacherous." And so she began her tale. In a certain village, there lived a wealthy man with a son who was notorious for his reckless ways. The young man was so consumed by gambling that his father constantly worried about him. One fateful day, as he was engrossed in a game of dice, his father passed away. Yet even his father's death did not deter him from his destructive habit. Instead, he gambled even more recklessly, ultimately losing everything he owned. With no home or wealth left, he wandered aimlessly until he reached a merchant's house. Feeling parched, he approached the merchant and humbly requested, "Sir, I am extremely thirsty. May I have a glass of water?" The merchant observed him closely and asked, "Who are you? Where have you come from? And what do you do for a living?" The young man replied, "I am a businessman. I was passing through when I thought to stop for some water before continuing my journey." Curious, the merchant asked, "What sort of business do you conduct?" The young man sighed and said, "Unfortunately, I lost all my goods when they fell into the sea. If you could help me." The young man approached the merchant and asked, "May I have a glass of water?" The merchant observed him carefully and asked, "Who are you? What do you do? Where have you come from?" The young man replied, "I am a businessman. I was passing through and thought I should stop for some water before continuing my journey." Curious, the merchant asked, "What kind of business do you conduct?" The young man sighed and said, "While doing business, I lost all my goods in the sea. If you could help me in any way, I would be truly grateful." The merchant, taken in by the young man's words, considered his request and then said, "My son, you seem capable and hardworking. Would you marry my daughter?" Hearing this, the young man was overjoyed and immediately agreed to the proposal. Soon after, the two were married, and the merchant sent his daughter away with a substantial dowry. However, the young man had only married her for wealth, and his true intentions were soon revealed. As they traveled together after the wedding, they reached a dense forest. The young man turned to his wife and said, "We are in a dangerous place. Thieves could attack us and steal your jewelry. Give it to me, and I will keep it safe." Trusting her husband completely, the wife removed all her jewelry and handed it to him without hesitation. After all, he was her husband. The young man tied the jewelry securely in a cloth and kept it with him. That night, as they rested in the forest, greed consumed the young man. Along with his wife, the merchant had also sent a maidservant for her care. Seeing an opportunity, the young man murdered the maid and then turned to his wife. Without remorse, he pushed her into a deep well, thinking to himself, "I only married her for money. Now that I have it, I no longer need her." Believing she would drown and die, he left the scene with all the wealth. However, fate had other plans. The woman survived and called out desperately for help. A passerby, hearing her cries, rushed to the well and rescued her. Once she was out, she shared everything that had happened. The kind stranger took her back to her father's house. When she arrived, her father, the merchant, was shocked to see her and asked, "What happened, my child?" Tears streaming down her face, the woman recounted, "Father, we were attacked by thieves in the jungle. They killed my maid, pushed me into a well, and my husband disappeared. I do not know what became of him." Listening to his daughter's words, the merchant sighed and said, "It does not matter, my child. God will make everything right." At this point, Maina, the bird, spoke up. "Prabhu, this proves that men can also be sinful and treacherous. Now justice is in your hands. Both the parrot and I have shared our stories. Now you must decide." Maina continued, "This man deceived his wife, stole everything, and abandoned her. If this is not betrayal, then what is?" After hearing both stories, Lord Shri Krishna smiled and said, "Parrot and Maina, I have listened carefully. Now I shall pass my judgment. It is clear to me that sin and treachery are not bound by gender. A person's thoughts and actions define their morality, not whether they are a man or a woman. A sinner is a sinner, regardless of their identity. Before committing any wrongdoing, one must consider whether it is right or wrong." He concluded, "Indeed, a person's thoughts can fall to unimaginable depths, making them a betrayer and a sinner. It is not about being a man or a woman. Sin arises from the choices one makes." Finally, the narrator addresses the audience. My dear friends, this story teaches us that betrayal and sin are not limited to one gender. It is our actions and choices that define us. If I have made any mistakes in this video, I sincerely apologize. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are a true devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment Jai Shri Radhe Krishna.